You know, it's funny. We spend so much of our time trying to make life behave, as if the universe were some sort of badly trained dog that just won't sit when we say, sit. We make plans, we write goals, we talk about manifesting, as though we could order existence around like an employee who's always late for work. And yet, have you noticed, the more tightly we grip things, the slipperier they become, like trying to hold a handful of water. Now, I don't mean to say that planning is wrong. Of course not. If you want a cup of tea, you've got to boil the water. But there's a difference between making tea and trying to make the kettle boil faster by staring at it. That's what most of us do with the universe. We stare, we strain, we try to force the kettle to bubble before it's ready. And so, trusting the universe isn't about sitting back with folded arms and saying, well, it'll all work out somehow. No, that's laziness disguised as faith. Trust is more like dancing. You move, the music moves, and sometimes it leads you somewhere you didn't expect. The rhythm carries you, and your steps, when they stop trying to be clever, start to make sense on their own. The great cosmic joke, you see, is that abundance doesn't arrive when you chase it. It shows up the moment you stop pretending you're separate from the very thing you're chasing. Because you are the dance, you are the rhythm. You're not apart from the universe. You are one of its infinite gestures. So when people talk about manifesting abundance, what they really mean, though they might not know it, is learning how to stop fighting the tide, to float a little, to trust that the current knows where it's going, even if your mind doesn't have a map. And maybe, just maybe, when you stop demanding that life look a certain way, you begin to see how it's already shimmering with everything you were asking for, like sunlight rippling across a pond or a breeze that brushes your cheek. And for a moment, you can't quite tell if it's moving toward you or if, but you see, here's the delicious twist. When I say trust the universe, most people imagine that as some grand act of surrender. They picture themselves standing at the edge of a cosmic cliff, taking a deep breath and saying, all right, universe, catch me. As though there's someone else out there waiting with open arms. But that's the trick of language, isn't it? It makes it sound like there's you on one side and the universe on the other. As if there's this big cosmic vending machine. You put in your trust, and out comes your abundance. Clunk, a shiny new car, a lover, a miracle, a sign. And then, of course, people get terribly upset when the machine seems jammed. They say, but I trusted, I visualized, I did my affirmations. They shake the thing, curse it, demand a refund, all the while forgetting there was never any machine, never any separation. The universe isn't a supplier, it's a happening. You are it. So trusting the universe turns out to be a curious thing. You can't actually do it. You can't decide to trust the way you might decide to order dessert. Because the moment you try to make trust happen, you're already mistrusting. You're still assuming there's something to control. It's like trying to relax by saying, now I must relax. Immediately you're tense about relaxing properly. Or trying to fall asleep by saying, I'll do my best to fall asleep right now. And of course, the harder you try, the wider awake you become. That's the cosmic humor of it all. You can only trust when you stop trying to trust. You can only let go when you stop holding on to the idea of letting go. You see, abundance isn't something that comes to you. It's what's left when you stop keeping score. When you stop dividing the world into mine and not mine, enough and not enough. You begin to notice that the whole thing is astonishingly generous already. Every breath is a gift, every sound a song. The sunlight doesn't charge rent. The stars don't send invoices. But we're terribly clever creatures, and we manage to make even the infinite feel insufficient. We sit amid galaxies and complain that the Wi-Fi signal of our desires is a little weak today. And yet, the universe chuckles. It's in no hurry. It whispers, all right, have your game. Pretend to be lost a little longer. Pretend you've got to earn what's already yours. because perhaps the game itself, this whole pretending to be separate, is part of the fun. Imagine if the ocean forgot it was water and thought it was a wave, trying desperately to achieve being wet. That's what we're doing when we talk about manifesting abundance. We're already drenched, soaked through with it, and yet we keep saying, just a bit more, please. So perhaps trusting the universe is really about seeing through that game, not stopping it. You don't have to destroy the illusion, just notice it. Laugh at it. Like when a magician reveals the trick and you realize it was simple all along. You still enjoy the show, but now you know what's behind the curtain. And from that laughter, something shifts. Not because you've achieved trust, but because you've stopped pretending that mistrust ever made sense. You begin to live more lightly. Not because you have everything, but because you see there was never anything missing. You start to act, but your actions have the quality of play rather than striving. You still care, but without the anxious clutching that says, I must control the outcome. You discover that trusting the universe doesn't mean expecting it to always go your way. It means realizing that your way and its way were never two ways to begin with. And that realization, soft, wordless, is what abundance really is. Not piles of gold, not endless success stories, but a kind of quiet astonishment. The sense that everything, even the hard bits, are somehow included. Nothing wasted, nothing wrong. And if you listen closely, in that stillness, the universe seems to hum. A low, mischievous hum, as if it's saying, "Ah, you finally caught the joke." Then you might smile, look around, and notice how even the ordinary, the hum of the fridge, the flicker of light on the wall, seems to be part of some vast, unhurried conversation. And perhaps you'll wonder, just for a moment, who's speaking to whom. You see, trusting the universe is a bit like learning to dance with a partner you can't quite see. You feel the rhythm first, soft, uncertain, like a pulse beneath your feet. And if you try to lead too soon, to take charge of the steps, you'll find yourself tripping over the very music that's trying to guide you. The secret is to listen, not just with your ears, but with your whole body, to let the rhythm move through you, rather than trying to control it. That's how the universe works. It isn't something you master, it's something you join. The moment you stop stamping your feet in protest, you begin to hear that gentle tempo underneath everything. The wind in the trees, the sound of your breath, the quiet hum behind the noise of thought. It's been playing all along. You were never out of step, only too busy counting to notice the tune. And abundance. Oh, abundance is the dance itself. It isn't something you acquire after mastering the steps. It's what happens while you're dancing, the music rising, the air shimmering, your laughter spilling over into the rhythm. To trust the universe is to stop measuring the beat and simply let it carry you, one sway, one spin, one breath at a time. Imagine, for a moment, a leaf floating down a stream. It doesn't struggle to decide which way to go. It doesn't argue with the current or demand that the river take it somewhere special. The leaf trusts the water completely. It turns, it twirls, sometimes caught in a small whirlpool, sometimes racing through rapids, sometimes drifting slow and still. But never once does it forget that the current knows, and perhaps that's what we forget, that the current knows. The universe has been flowing long before you, or I learned to paddle. It's composed symphonies out of galaxies, carved canyons from patience, and grown entire forests without a single meeting about logistics. And yet, here we are, anxious about how to make abundance happen, as if the universe, having managed all that, might somehow need our advice on timing. When you truly trust, you realize you're not here to steer the river. You're here to feel it, to glide, to splash, to taste its coolness and marvel at how it carries you without needing directions. But of course, we humans have this wonderful tendency to overcomplicate what is simple. We want guarantees, formulas, maps. Tell me, we say, how do I manifest abundance? As though abundance were a hidden chest at the end of a treasure hunt. Yet if you watch a musician, they don't think of manifesting the next note. They become the note. They breathe with it. A jazz player doesn't plan every sound. They listen, they respond, they play. The melody is born from trust, trust in timing and intuition in the unknown moment that hasn't yet arrived. So when I say, trust the universe, I don't mean to suggest you sit back and wait for magic to happen. I mean, play. Play like the ocean does when it throws its waves against the rocks. Play like the stars, scattered but harmonious. Play like a child who builds a sandcastle knowing full well the tide will take it away, and still laughs as the waves come rolling in. You see, abundance isn't found in permanence, it's found in participation. The child doesn't mourn the sandcastle's end. They celebrate the making of it. And the sea, mischievous as ever, comes to join the game. Trust, then, is not about safety, it's about aliveness. It's the willingness to join the great improvisation of existence, where no one has the sheet music, but everyone is somehow in tune. Consider the forest. Every leaf drinks sunlight, but not one leaf hogs it. Every tree reaches for the sky, but never blocks its neighbor on purpose. There is no envy between ferns, no competition between moss and mushroom. The forest doesn't say, I must manifest more abundance this season. It simply grows, not by striving, but by being utterly itself. And perhaps that's what the universe asks of you, to be utterly yourself, not a better version, not a more spiritual or successful version, but your rhythm, your sound, your shape in the dance. Because when you stop pretending, when you let yourself flow as naturally as a river runs downhill, you find that life conspires to support you. Not because you've earned it, but because you've finally stopped resisting it. The moment you trust the current, the whole river begins to sing. There's a kind of poetry in that everything you've been chasing begins to approach you when you stop chasing. When the mind stops thrashing for control, abundance drifts toward you like music through an open window. And it's curious, the universe seems to love a good laugh. Just when you stop trying so hard, it sends you the very thing you were hoping for. But by then, you're already smiling, because you realize you didn't need it to feel complete. It's a cosmic game of hide and seek. The universe hides what you seek in plain sight, in the curve of a wave, in the silence after laughter, in the shimmer of a raindrop just before it falls. And when you notice it, it whispers, "Ah, there you are. You finally remembered." So, trusting the universe isn't some grand gesture of faith, it's more like breathing. You don't have to believe in oxygen to inhale. You just do. You trust that the next breath will come, and it does. Over and over again, effortless. Maybe that's the real abundance. This endless giving, this rhythm of in and out, rise and fall, ebb and flow. A reminder that you've always been part of the dance, the river, the song. And if you listen, really listen, you can almost hear it now. That soft murmur beneath everything, the pulse of being itself, inviting you to join the play once more. To laugh, to trust, to move without knowing exactly where you're going. You know, the universe has an extraordinary sense of humor. Just when you think you've got it all figured out, when you've read the right books, aligned your chakras, set your intentions, and whispered your affirmations to the moon, life suddenly slips on a banana peel and lands right on its cosmic backside. And there you are, sitting cross-legged with your crystals, watching everything fall perfectly apart. Now, the ordinary person says, "Oh no, something's gone wrong," but the universe just chuckles, because that's exactly what it meant to do. It's a trickster, you see. The moment you start treating it like a vending machine for your desires, it plays a joke to remind you that you never ordered anything in the first place. That's the paradox of abundance. The more you chase it, the more it hides behind corners, giggling. But the moment you stop running after it, it sneaks up and taps you on the shoulder, and you turn around, surprised, to find it's been following you the whole time. It's like trying to catch your own reflection in a pond. The harder you lunge for it, the more ripples you make, and the image disappears. But if you sit still, not doing nothing, but being still, the water clears. And there it is, not something you caught, but something that was always there. That's why the universe loves to tease us with timing. Just when you've given up, things start to fall into place. Just when you stop forcing, everything flows. And if you look closely, it seems to whisper, "See, you were never running the show, darling." And it's right, you weren't. But oh, what a beautiful illusion. This idea that you were the conductor of the cosmic orchestra. You waved your baton furiously, trying to make the violins come in on cue, and all the while, the universe was happily playing jazz. And jazz, of course, doesn't care much for control. It thrives on spontaneity, those wild, unplanned notes that somehow make the music whole. Life is exactly like that. You think it's gone off key, but later you realize it was just setting up the perfect rhythm for something unexpected. So, trusting the universe isn't really about believing that things will go your way. It's realizing there is no your way. There's just the way, the dance itself. And when you stop arguing with the choreography, you find that even your stumbles were part of the pattern all along. Of course, this can be terribly annoying at first. We'd all prefer a universe with clear instructions, something like Step 1, visualize. Step 2, receive package by Thursday. But the universe doesn't do tracking numbers. It prefers surprises. And perhaps that's abundance in disguise, not getting what you expect, but discovering that what you got was somehow exactly right. In that mischievous, roundabout way the universe has of saying, "Trust me, you'll laugh about this later." You see, the whole business of manifestation has been slightly misunderstood. People imagine it as a cosmic shopping spree. I'll take one soulmate, $2 million, and a vacation in Bali, please. But real abundance isn't about accumulation, it's about recognition. You don't summon it, you notice it. You open your eyes and realize the universe was already offering you everything. It just wasn't wrapped the way you imagined. Sometimes it arrives disguised as loss, sometimes as silence, sometimes as a long, frustrating wait. But hidden in all of it is that quiet grin, that cosmic wink that says, "Aha, you thought abundance meant getting more, but maybe it means needing less." It's wonderfully subversive, really. The moment you stop clutching at life, it slips a gift into your open hand. But as long as you're grasping, your fist is too tight to receive it. And here's the cosmic joke: you can't try to let go. Try letting go of trying. The instant you say, "I'm going to surrender," you're already holding on to the idea of surrendering properly. It's like trying to tickle yourself. The effort defeats the fun. So, what can you do? Absolutely nothing, which, paradoxically, is exactly what you need to do. The trust happens on its own once you stop insisting on it. It's a bit like floating in water. The more you flail, the more you sink. But if you relax, the water holds you up effortlessly. And the best part, the water doesn't need your faith to float you. It just does. The law of buoyancy doesn't check your belief system first. So, trust isn't about convincing yourself. It's about ceasing to interfere. It's about laughing softly at your own seriousness, realizing that the universe was never asking for effort, only ease. And when you begin to see this, when the joke finally lands, the whole thing turns radiant. Even your mistakes gleam with purpose. Even your confusion hums with hidden order. You start to sense that there's no wrong note in this music at all, only moments of improvisation that give the melody its charm. You realize abundance isn't something that happens to you, it's something that happens through you. Like wind through bamboo, like sunlight through leaves. And the less you resist, the more beautifully it sings. At that point, you might just find yourself laughing, not because everything is perfect, but because it never needed to be. You laugh at the divine absurdity of having searched for what was never lost. You laugh because the universe is laughing with you, through you, as you. And perhaps, just for a moment, you glimpse the grand cosmic smile, the one behind every sunrise and every sigh, and it feels as though the whole thing is in on the same delightful secret, that there was never anything to manifest, because you were the manifestation all along, and the universe, ever so quietly, seems to whisper, "No, you get it. Now dance." And you do. Not because you have to, not because you finally learned the right steps, but simply because you can't help it anymore. The music is too good, the rhythm too generous. And you realize with a grin that you've been swaying to it since the very beginning. You see, when we speak of trusting the universe, it's not really about belief at all. Belief is a kind of tension, a clinging to the idea that things should turn out well. But trust is softer. It's not a grip, it's a loosening. It's what happens when you stop asking the water to hold you, and simply feel that it already does. The curious thing about abundance is that it doesn't arrive as something added. It reveals itself as something uncovered, like mist burning off in the morning sun. The abundance was always there, veiled only by the fog of your own effort. We try so hard to earn what's already flowing through us. But life doesn't respond to effort in the way we imagine. It opens, quite naturally, when you stop trying to pry it open. You might notice it in very small moments. The hush before a bird takes flight, the way light touches a leaf just so, or the simple rhythm of your own breath, arriving and departing without your supervision. Everything around you, every movement, every silence, is already abundant, already complete. But because we've been trained to chase, to accumulate, to build fences around beauty, we rarely stop long enough to see that it was never missing. And yet, the universe is patient. It doesn't mind our confusion. It lets us run in circles, convinced we're progressing, while quietly whispering, "You're already home." To trust that whisper is to begin seeing with different eyes. The eyes that don't divide life into mine and not mine, into success and failure, but simply see. The way a mirror reflects without judgment, or a pond reflects the moon whether it's full or fading. Trust is that still pond within you, and abundance, real abundance, is the reflection shimmering across its surface. The reflection is not something else you must attain. It is the play of what's already present, just as the moonlight belongs to the same night that holds your beating heart. When you begin to sense that, something inside you relaxes. The constant measuring, comparing, seeking, it grows quieter. Not because you've renounced it, but because it no longer feels necessary. The dance goes on, and you realize the music was never asking you to keep time. It only wanted you to listen. And what is listening really? Not the act of waiting for meaning, but the awareness that meaning is woven into everything. Into the hum of a refrigerator, the laughter of a stranger, the rise and fall of your own thoughts. The universe is not speaking to you as an external voice. It is your voice, disguised as wind, disguised as circumstance, disguised as every ordinary thing you've overlooked. It has never stopped communicating. Only your attention wandered. That's why trusting it doesn't require faith in something outside yourself. It's more like remembering your native language. The words were always within you, you simply forgot how to hear them. And when you begin to hear again, you notice that life moves differently. Not faster, not slower, just truer, like a river that doesn't rush, yet somehow always arrives. The current carries you, and even when you drift into eddies, even when the surface grows rough, something underneath remains effortlessly calm. Perhaps that's the quiet secret abundance keeps, that it doesn't depend on what happens. It's a recognition, not a reward. You can be standing in the middle of loss, uncertainty, confusion, and still, somewhere inside, there's this subtle glow, as if the universe is saying, yes, this too? And that, yes, is the sound of trust. Not the naive yes, of pretending everything is fine, but the vast yes, of seeing that everything belongs. Even your resistance, even your fear, even the small moments where you forget all of this and start chasing again, they too are part of the abundance. The mind will ask, but how can I live like that? How do I practice this trust? And the universe with its characteristic mischief, might answer, be noticing you're already doing it. You're trusting right now, trusting your lungs to fill, your heart to beat, the ground to hold you up. You never demanded a contract from gravity. You never negotiated with the air. And yet here you are, breathing, standing alive. So you see, trust is not something you must develop. It's what's left when the illusion of control fades. And then life becomes astonishingly simple. You begin to move like water, finding your own level without thinking about it. You bend around obstacles without calling them obstacles. You flow, and in your flowing, you discover that abundance isn't something you reach for. It's the very motion of being itself, endless, changing, self-renewing. And when you rest by the river's edge, perhaps you'll notice how each droplet sparkles for just an instant before merging back into the flow. None of them cling to their form, none of them lament what they lose. And yet, the river never runs out. So maybe that's what the universe has been showing us all along, that to manifest abundance isn't to hold on, but to let go. To participate fully, but without claiming ownership of the song. The music was never yours or mine. It simply plays, and through us, it becomes audible. There's a kind of infinite gentleness in that recognition. The gentleness of not needing to fix or chase or control. The gentleness of realizing you've never been separate from what you seek. And from that stillness, a new kind of laughter arises, softer now, almost silent, the kind that doesn't mock, but embraces. The laughter of a child who suddenly remembers the game they were playing all along. And maybe, as you listen, you'll find yourself smiling too. Not because you've found the answer, but because you've stopped needing one. The question and the answer dissolve together, like ripples fading back into the lake. And the water keeps flowing, always flowing. And perhaps, in the quiet moments, when all the trying has worn itself out, something begins to shimmer beneath the surface. Not an answer, not even a revelation, but a kind of still hum, as though life itself were breathing through you, waiting for you to notice. It's strange, isn't it? The moment you stop demanding that the universe make sense, it suddenly feels so intimate. Not a puzzle to be solved, but a companion that moves with you in a kind of invisible rhythm. You take a step, and somehow it's already there. You reach for something, and before you touch it, it's already been given. It's like walking through a forest at dusk, that soft, golden hour when everything seems suspended between worlds. The light filters through the leaves in thin ribbons, and you can almost feel the trees breathing. You don't need to understand how it all works. You simply walk, and the path unfolds under your feet. That's trust. Not the loud proclamation of faith, but the quiet willingness to move without knowing where the next stone will rise. The river doesn't announce where it's going. It just keeps flowing, curling, falling, pausing in pools, laughing over rocks. And somehow that laughter becomes your own. Because somewhere along the way, you begin to realize that life isn't asking you to be perfect, only to participate, to sway a little when the wind moves, to bend when the current shifts, to let yourself be part of the great improvisation that has been happening since before time began. And maybe abundance isn't something you hold in your hands at all. Maybe it's the very air between them, invisible, effortless, always there, like music that plays whether or not anyone is listening, like the silence that carries every sound. You can feel it now, can't you? That subtle sense that the universe is not something distant or mysterious, but something familiar, something breathing with you, through you. The same pulse that moves the tides moves your heart. The same light that spills across the morning sky flickers behind your eyes. And when you stop trying to separate yourself from it, when you stop calling it universe and start calling it this, abundance stops being a goal and becomes a presence, a quiet companionship, a gentle knowing that you were never lacking, never late, never outside the dance. Even the stumbles, the pauses, the so-called mistakes, they have their rhythm too. The universe doesn't mind a misstep, it just changes the tempo. You think you've lost the beat, and suddenly you're part of a new song. Maybe that's why the wise ones always laughed. Not because they'd figured it all out, but because they'd seen through the seriousness of it. They saw that the play of existence never needed to be won or solved, it only needed to be played. And so, trusting the universe isn't about being sure, it's about being available. It's about letting life move through you without constantly stopping to ask where it's going. Sometimes the current carries you gently, sometimes it tumbles you through rapids. But if you listen closely, even in the rush, you can hear the same stillness beneath the sound. That quiet, eternal rhythm that never hurries, never breaks. Maybe that's abundance too, that deep current beneath all the motion, the one that doesn't depend on what happens, or how it looks, or whether anyone notices. It just moves, endlessly, tenderly, the way light moves across water. And perhaps if you close your eyes for a moment, you'll feel that same movement inside you. The tide of being, the silent wave that rises and falls without effort. Not something to control or name, but something to trust. After all, you were never apart from it. You are the ripple and the sea, the dancer and the dance, the breath and the breathing. And in that knowing, not the knowing of words, but the knowing of being, something softens. The questions grow quiet. The horizon seems to open. The universe hums its endless tune, and you, without even meaning to, hum along. Maybe that's all it ever wanted. And maybe the next breath, the one that hasn't yet arrived, is already on its way, carrying with it the faint glimmer of another beginning. Just there, at the edge of where words give way to silence, where the river bends and the current whispers something you can almost hear. Almost, but not quite.